Good morning, everybody. While you get settled, I'm going to get started. Everybody okay? We good? Me too. Thanks for asking. We've got about 20-25 minutes together, and in that time, I'd like to do 4 things. One is to say thank you. The second is to give you some brief highlights from what has been an outstanding school year. The third is to share some highlights of coming attractions, that is, things we're thinking about, things we're planning for next year and beyond. And lastly, to answer any of your questions. How does that sound? Good? Consistent? So, you know, I've taken off my jacket and rolled up my sleeves because we've got work to do in this time. Thank you for coming. It's more important than you know as we continue to collaborate in your children's best interests. So my colleagues and I are thrilled to see you, and we're deeply grateful for that collaboration as we work together to help your children develop their best selves in ways that serve the greater good, really the heart of our mission, as we work with you to prepare your children for college and lives of meaning and consequence, and especially in your understanding and accepting why my colleagues and I don't consider your children's happiness to be the most important thing. Actually, when I was talking to prospective parents during revisits, I said at least twice to each group that I don't care at all about our children's happiness. That got a much bigger laugh from that group. I think it's because they were nervous. But the fact of the matter is that what we're really concerned about is helping them develop the attitudes and the skills to find meaning and satisfaction in their lives as they go forward into adulthood. And as we as adults all know, that has to exist to produce happiness. You can't make your kids happy. I can't make your children happy. But what we are doing together, the profound work and collaboration that we're doing together, is to help them to develop the attitudes and skills to find meaning and satisfaction in their lives for themselves and others. So thank you so very much for engaging in this such an important enterprise together. It's a pleasure to be working with you in this way. It's not always easy, and in fact, most often it's not easy. But it is so important and so worthwhile, and from all that I can tell, it's working. So thank you very, very much. We always talk about the triangle. We're at one side, you're at the other, students are at the top. Other people's children want to flatten that triangle, so you don't hear that much about us, and we don't hear that much about you, or what we do hear about each other flows through them. We've said this is not a good thing. Here's where technology works in the adults to the adults' benefit. www.millbrook.org. All sorts of things that you want to know about the school year and your children's experiences right there. We video everything, we post everything. I have this silly microphone on right now. Alex has got the camera on me. You know, it's all there. So I encourage you to go there regularly. And the best place to go is Millbrook in Motion, and the most meaningful place to go is to the chapel talks, which are usually given, almost always given by sixth formers. And if you don't have time to watch a lot of them, watch one. Aria Bowden, class of 2018, talking about her mother's death this fall. Excuse me, still gets me a little worked up as I think about it. But go there and watch these things, because they will tell you in a much more profound way about the highlights of the year than I can. But it's been an outstanding year. There's been, I find, inspirational work being done in classrooms, and it was highlighted last night when we had the induction of 15 members of the class of 2018 into the Cum Laude Society, the equivalent of the National Honor Society for Independent Schools. It being even considered is highly rigorous. Being elected and then inducted is a major achievement. So that, as I said, happened for 15 members of the class of 2018 last night. This building pulses with activity and creativity every day. It is representative, I think, of so much that's going on here intellectually, creatively, and I saw some of you walking around and looking at the work. All but, I think, 3 pieces of work in this building are done by students either, and who are now graduates or students today, and the 3 are the ones in the lobby, in the Keenan lobby. Other than that, it's all from Millbrook graduates and your children. So please look around and take and enjoy that and take it in. Our students are learning the lessons that we want them to do on the fields and in the courts and on the ice. We are always the smallest school we play. We are the Davids among the Goliaths, and we relish that. It is part of the Millbrook way. We do well. Boys soccer made it to the New England finals. Boys varsity hockey was selected for the New England Championship tournament, and girls and boys squash both brought home New England championships. So not only do we compete, but we compete well, and we compete at a very high level. College process is going well. More than 70% of the class was admitted to their first and second choices, and we're working on the very small group that are on wait lists, and they're in places, but they have interest in their wait lists, and we're using every means we have to support their candidacies. As you know, we instituted a new program this year called RISK, Respect, Integrity, Stewardship, Service, and Curiosity, the 5 core values in our mission. And the purpose of the program was to engage students in our mission more effectively. Mother Nature made a mess of it, but we carried on. It was a success. I mean, really, Mother Nature did make a mess of it. We had to end some programs a day and a half early. It's only a 4-day program, and we didn't get to see the presentations at the end. Some of that's going to happen this week and next week. We will run the program again next year, having put a lot of time and effort into it and now refining it as we go forward. So those are some of the highlights from what, as I said, has been an outstanding school year. Here are the things we're thinking about a lot. Screens, and where we want to intersect education with legislation. That is, what things we're going to say you can and can't do with screens, and where we're going to talk about the effect of screens on your behavior and your attitudes. I did dorm duty in Harris Hall, the 3rd form boys dorm, on Thursday night. I watched the boys all come in, put their phones in the little pockets, so they don't have their phones. Obviously, they have their computers during study hall. But what we've learned from studies is that they don't use their phones for anything but social interaction. They serve no educational purpose whatsoever. Their laptops, their iPads, their desktops do. So they put their phones there, and if they're doing well and their homework's done, they can come before the end of study hall and take their phones in the 2nd semester. I think that's interesting. Tells us how connected they are to their phone, that they can't go a half an hour, right? It's 9:30 and they're done with their homework and they still want to have their phone. So we're thinking about screens a lot. We're thinking about screens and sleep and the daily schedule a lot. We're trying to figure out how to create 25 hours a day because we want to start the day later. We want students to get more sleep. Research shows the teenagers need actually to sleep between 6:30 and 8 that hour and a half is actually pretty important, and we still want them to go to bed when they go to bed, but how to do all that and fit in community service, extra help, all the things that we do that a lot of other schools don't do. They don't have community service in their day, and that's a core value. And we're thinking, as we always do, about sustainability. Millbrook has long been a leader in green education, but we want to do it better, like we want to do everything better. I'm thrilled to report that we just hired someone who is currently working at the Island School in Eleuthera, who's an experienced teacher, boarding school person, who's going to come and teach environmental science and also be our sustainability coordinator and do a number of things in that area and help us to move forward in that way. He and his family will be coming up from Eleuthera this summer. I think they'll be shocked by the weather. We're thinking about construction, as we always do. So we're going to do 2 projects this summer. We're gutting the lower level of the schoolhouse. Literally, your students end exams on Thursday or Friday, and on Monday, the jackhammers and wrecking ball comes in, and that area is going to be rebuilt as a humanities center. There'll be 5 new classrooms there, plus all sorts of support space for the faculty, to meet with students, for the silo. That is the first step in a total renovation of the schoolhouse, the last major building on campus to be renovated. So that will be ready for the fall. This is why, by the way, some of your children go to English and history classes in the trailer. These classrooms will replace those classrooms and more. These trailers serve an important purpose on campus. We're moving alumni and development out of Callard House, and they're going into the trailers. And because the good news is that our admissions team is so successful, they need more room in Callard House. We're interviewing 700 or more students each year for our 100 new students. We need more space, so we're going to do that, and then of course we will build in time a new facility for alumni development. And we're also, I should have gone in the highlights, so one of the highlights of the year is that in June we completed our $65 million capital campaign, and then, as you know, a very generous trustee, past parent, and his wife came forward and said, "Well done you, but it's not enough. And you've convinced me that your endowment needs to grow, and so we will give you $4 million more if you raise 16, and you have 6 months to do it." And we did. In December, we completed the Königsberger Challenge. We raised 16 more for a total of $20 million, all of which will go into the endowment over the next 3 or 4 years, moving our endowment from $40 million to $60 million. Still way too small compared to our competitors, but obviously moving in the right direction. It's a 50% increase. And that endowment income, which accounts for about $800,000 in the operating budget, we spend down, not spend down, we use 4% of the endowment on a 12-quarter trailing average to go into operations. So we'll add about $800,000 into the operating budget, which will do 3 things. It will increase financial aid by $300 and something thousand, moving it from 18% of gross tuition revenue to 20% of gross tuition revenue. Our average grant is about $40,000, so you can do the math. It'll allow us to enroll 6 or 7, 5 or 6 more students on financial aid, which we're excited about, increasing access to this outstanding experience at Millbrook. It will support the faculty in terms of salary and benefits and professional development, and it will help us to take care of the campus because we've added a significant amount of new buildings and renovated buildings just in the last 4 years, which of course increases the need for monies to care for them. So it'll do those 3 things. Having completed the Königsberger Challenge, we said, yay! And the board literally has gone right into planning the next 5 years. And we're thinking right now about what we're calling Vision 2023 and what will change in the next 5 years at the school in terms of program, in terms of facilities, and in terms of the resources that will support programs and facilities. Can't tell you too much about that yet because we haven't finalized it, but certainly by the spring board meeting, which is upcoming, we'll have a much clearer idea of the component parts. Generally, again, it will be a significant hunk for an endowment to continue to support the things I just mentioned. And then the good news is we built the big $10, $12 million facilities. We don't see a need for those in this next chapter, but there will be certainly some $5, $6 million facilities that will help us to keep doing what we do even better. Did it. Got through 3 of the 4, so now I'm happy to answer any of the questions you might have. Yep, sure. No, go ahead.
Secondary school students had a great impact this year on the national discussion of gun control.
Yep.
What's happened on this campus?
Good. Good. Well, first, I don't know if any of you have it, read the Silo, the school paper. The lead article today is about it. It's a group of students who met yesterday over at Kent School and partnered with them and others to participate in a march. And then to hear from some local representatives and to continue to develop our students' opinions on these matters and to voice their opinions on the matter. We had a walkout here on campus earlier. We've had discussions. I made some comments at formal dinner, so it's an active conversation. The challenge is to depoliticize the conversation and to get people to listen to each other and then to act on their thoughts. You know, we are an apolitical institution. We're not Republican or Democrat, and it's very important that we do that. My one disappointment about yesterday is only one side was represented. And the person who happened to be there is running for office and is a good friend of mine. But only one side was represented. And when we support anything, we say both sides have to be represented. That said, I will tell you my personal opinion. My personal opinion is there are mental health issues in countries all across the world, and people aren't shooting each other. Therefore, I do think it's an issue of gun control. But that's my opinion. So we're doing that. Thank you for that's an excellent question. And I'm so proud of our kids. Remember, productive, responsible citizens in their society. What could be more important for them right now than to practice? They're practicing these things on a real-time, very serious issue.
My question / comment actually kind of goes in line with what you're saying. What's the school's plan for lockdown, drills, safety, enhanced safety? I mean, I feel like it's such a little bubble up here and it's wonderful, but something could happen, and I feel like there's very little security in general out of a lot of schools, and I think it's something that probably needs to be considered.
Yep, no, it's fully considered. Campus safety and security is something we think about every day. We have a risk management committee. It's an attitude. It's not just, you have to think about it now, you don't think about it then. It's when we put kids in vans, when we take them into the wetlands, when we take a group going off to Ghana. These things all have risk assessment protocols that go along with them. And an active shooter is something we think about. I would say in the range of things that we have to worry about and focus our time and attention on, it's unlikely, but still something we're prepared for. We're going to have drills this spring. There's sound systems all over the campus that tell students where to go and what to do in these situations. We have also worked with security professionals, and what you hear every day when you're in public places is the number one response to any risk. If you see something, if you hear something, tell someone. So we are talking with the students regularly. If you see someone you don't recognize, say, may I help you? And if you're not comfortable doing that, go find an adult. We've spent a great deal of money over 12 years for that one piece of advice.
On a lighter note, could you give us an update on the elimination game?
No, because I have no idea what's going on, except I don't I know it's getting close to the end, and there have been a couple kids who've hid behind me as I've been walking across campus. But I actually don't know. I think the elimination game is a great example of campus culture and kids owning the culture. It's a fun thing. They spend time on it, and it's totally student run. Do you have any idea what's going on?
No, Frank got tagged out.
4 players left? Okay. So do you all know what this is? It's a game. It's a game you can sign up, and you're given somebody, and you have to eliminate them, and it goes from, I guess almost all the kids do it. And there are rules on how you can, for example, you can't have the dean say, I need to see you, and then you show up and eliminate the person. And it goes down. And frankly, I don't even think there's a prize other than the pride of being the last person. But, it makes things a little more fun, especially as the winter is, it's been a late spring, and so it's been fun. Anything else?
I think earlier this year there was a meeting with the board and the parents about vision planning for the school, how to be a tier 1 school but still maintain the authenticity of Millbrook. So whatever came of that.
Good. So the question is, there are a group of parents who met with the board and actually mostly new parents who met with the board in the fall and we actually had our facilitator, our strategic planning facilitator here, and the challenge was how to be a tier 1 school and still be consistent with our mission and vision. And the first thing, and perhaps the most significant thing that happened, was everybody was angry about that challenge and said, what do you mean? We are a tier 1 school. So that has been taken out of the challenge. And the challenge now is how to be synonymous with excellence in all we do in ways that are consistent with our mission and our vision. And so that's the challenge. And as I said, so then we move forward, and one of our board members said in a finance committee meeting, okay, I understand, but it seems to me there are 2 different things you need to do. One is you need to tell us what problems need to be solved now. And then, once we understand that, we, the board, we will work with you to develop the aspirations. So the problems that need to be solved now include more financial aid. They include a little more professional development for faculty and staff in this near term. We're talking now being next year and the year after. Some money to take care of the remaining deferred maintenance on campus, which is a safety and security issue in some ways. And so we're working on that. And then Vision 2023, as I said, will involve some new programs, some new facilities, and more money for endowment. And I can't tell you the specifics of those yet because we haven't quite finalized them. But what you should know is Millbrook was founded to be conservatively progressive, which means Edward Pulling wanted us to be a place that honored the best of the past, but was always looking to get better. So it's in our institutional DNA. Part of my job is to pay attention to today, to make sure we keep school well today, to have plans for the next year, but always thinking about the next iteration. I wasn't joking when I said the board went, yay, about raising $80 million, and then said, okay, let's go. What's next? And by the way, the board provided 50 of that $80 million. So they understand their responsibility to moving Millbrook forward. It was extraordinary. Thank you. What a nice note to end on. So, 3rd form parents, you are going to the chapel. 6th form parents, you are going to the Prum Meeting Hall, formerly known as the Dining Hall. And 4th and 5th form parents, you're staying right here for the Underform Awards Assembly. I want to end where I began. Thank you so very much.